She spent the last decade trying to rebrand herself. You know, the nation's fun-loving, children's book writing, teary-eyed royal comeback kid. Then one email lands. Suddenly, headlines are screaming that Sarah Ferguson called Jeffrey Epstein her supreme friend in a 2011 message. And get this, she sent it after telling the world she was horrified by him. Now, Charities are already sprinting for the exit. Buckingham Palace is stonewalling, and King Charles is reportedly absolutely furious behind those palace walls. So, how did a single leaked apology blow Fergie's fairy tale redemption to pieces? And why are courtiers briefing that this could be the York family's final straw? Let's start with the receipts, shall we? The Mail on Sunday published a 2011 email straight from Sarah's own account. In it, she begs Epstein's forgiveness, calls herself paralysed with fear, and yes, brands him my supreme friend. The problem? Just 4 months earlier, she went on American television calling Epstein a paedophile and insisting she'd cut all contact. That's not a grey area, that's a neon-lit contradiction. Friends of Fergie claim she only wrote that grovelling note because Epstein's lawyers threatened to sue her for defamation. Maybe. But Charities? They don't hang around to pass motives. Within 48 hours, Julia's House, the Teenage Cancer Trust, and the British Heart Foundation all announced they could no longer be associated with her. When your entire second act is built on philanthropy, that's not a speed bump. That's the road disappearing entirely. Royal reporters have one golden rule. When courtiers leak the phrase, "We do not comment on private matters," read the opposite. The Times' Valentine Lowe wrote this week that senior aides met on Monday morning and discussed nuclear options. We're talking about asking Prince Andrew to formally renounce his remaining military titles, so they can redistribute them to working royals who aren't, well, radioactive. One source said Charles is exhausted by the York show. Another claimed William views the scandal as a weekly fire alarm nobody ordered. Translation? Remember the cash. Back in 2010, Fergie admitted Epstein handed over £15,000 to help clear her debts. She apologised, promised to pay it back, and insisted it was a one-off. The newly leaked email thread, however, shows they were still chatting about money a year later. That timeline matters because it totally undercuts her claim of a clean break. It also revives the single question the palace dreads. How much did Prince Andrew know, and when? If Fergie was under Epstein's thumb in 2011, Andrew's continued association, including well-documented meetings, looks even more reckless. Biographer Angela Levin told Talk TV, "The public is no longer willing to believe the brothers are different defence. One scandal might be careless. 2 becomes a pattern. 3, well, that's a brand." Let's zoom in on the Charities for a moment, because they're the canary in the reputational coal mine. Teenage Cancer Trust receives royal patronage to fill gala seats and attract corporate donors. The moment patronage turns toxic, the maths flips. Keeping Fergie risks losing more money than she brings in, so they cut her. Same with the British Heart Foundation, which already lost £2 million in donations after anti-monarchy campaigners targeted its royal links last year. Charity chiefs talk privately of the Andrew lesson. Delay costs more than decisiveness. Fergie is learning the hard way. A Duchess title opens doors, but it simply cannot keep them open once headlines turn sour. Blackmail or blunder? Passing the fear defence. Fergie's spokesperson says she wrote under duress, that Epstein's camp threatened litigation and she feared bankruptcy. Legal experts call that a non-defence. You can't libel a convicted sex offender by calling him exactly what judges called him. Yet, emotional coercion is real. Friends say she owed money to banks, book publishers, even her own staff. Epstein knew it. If he dangled debt relief in exchange for a flattering note, she may have felt cornered. Still, the public has limited sympathy for someone who lounges on yachts weeks after claiming penury. The palace's headache is that every fresh detail drags the conversation right back. Constitutionally, the monarch can't strip Fergie of her Duchess title. He can, however, freeze her out of royal events, veto her appearance on the Buckingham balcony, and lean on organisations to rescind invitations. Sources close to the Lord Chamberlain say the court circular will quietly drop her name from upcoming garden party lists. More importantly, Charles controls the purse strings of the £86 million sovereign grant. Andrew already bankrolls Fergie's lifestyle from his own allowance. If Charles threatens to slash that, the Yorks would have to fund security, travel, even their own Netflix rebuttal documentaries. One former courtier called it the velvet guillotine, sharp enough to hurt, soft enough to claim plausible deniability. This scandal lands at the worst possible moment. Andrew is fighting to keep his Windsor lease. Princess Beatrice's employers at software firm Affinity are fielding press queries about nepotism. Eugenie's podcast on anti-slavery charities has advertisers asking awkward questions. The family brand is now so toxic that even Hello magazine, historically friendly, ran a poll. Should the Yorks retire from public life? 73% said yes. That's not a royal bump, that's a cliff. The longer Charles hesitates, the more the narrative shifts from poor judgment to institutional denial. And the one thing a modern monarchy cannot survive is becoming shorthand for institutional denial. If you're finding this breakdown useful, hit subscribe and stick around till the end because we're about to look at why this email could reshape the coronation-era monarchy more than Prince Harry's memoir ever did. And if you've already binged our royal analysis, tell me below, is the Duchess of York the unluckiest ex-wife alive? Or did she write her own downfall, one email at a time? Fergie's entire business model since 2012 has been built on contrition. Books with titles like Finding Sarah, keynote speeches on addiction and body shaming, a podcast on self-forgiveness. That arc relied on the public accepting she's messy but harmless. Calling a convicted predator my supreme friend, even under pressure, completely detonates that premise. Brand experts at PR firm Chelgate calculate she has lost £1.4 million in future speaking fees in 10 days. One publishing exec told the bookseller her next memoir is commercially radioactive unless it is a full confession. Redemption narratives require a clean moral contrast. Sinner turned saint. The email drags her back into sinner negotiating with sinner territory, and the public just doesn't have the patience to fund the sequel. Zoom out, and the real story here is institutional. The royal family survived abdication crises, world wars, Diana's death, even Harry's Oprah revelations. Yet Epstein is the scandal that keeps metastasizing. First Andrew's car crash Newsnight interview, then Virginia Giuffre's civil suit, now Fergie's email. Every 6 months, a fresh headline reminds the world that the second son of the Queen cozied up to a trafficker. Republican campaign group Republic claims memberships spiked 42% this week alone. That's not just tabloid noise. It's a slow constitutional bleed. If Charles can't cauterise the York branch, the danger is the stain spreads to the workable core. Anne, Edward, even the Waleses. One former cabinet minister told The Guardian the real risk is guilt by genealogy. So, what happens next? Here are 3 scenarios. Scenario A. The palace pushes Andrew to issue a statement distancing himself from Fergie's private dealings, She loses all patronages, retreats to Windsor Great Park, and the story dies from oxygen deprivation. Scenario B. Charles sanctions a quiet divorce of convenience between the family and the Yorks. Think no more balcony appearances, no more Christmas walk, a semi-exile like Harry but without the tell-all. Scenario C. The drip, drip continues. Imagine leaked texts, maybe even a photo of Fergie on Epstein's island. Under that pressure, the palace commissions an independent review. The government strips Andrew's Duke of York title, and the wider family faces a parliamentary ethics committee. Bookmakers have scenario A at 4 to 5 odds. But even that means months of headlines the coronation glow simply cannot drown out. So, here's the takeaway. One email, written in panic or calculation, has erased a decade of rebranding, cost Sarah Ferguson multiple lifelines to sick children, and dumped fresh petrol on Prince Andrew's already smouldering reputational ashes. More importantly, it exposes the limits of palace crisis management in an age where leaked inboxes travel faster than courtiers can spin. King Charles wants a streamlined, scandal-free monarchy. Instead, he's stuck with a brother, an ex-sister-in-law, and a dead predator looping endlessly on news chyrons. The public is no longer asking whether Fergie is sorry. It's asking why the institution that surrounds her keeps expecting sympathy without transparency. Until the palace answers that question, panic isn't a headline, it's a business model. Drop your vote below. Should Charles cut the Yorks loose or keep them on life support? I'll be replying to the top comments, and if you want the next royal story decoded, subscribe. Because if this week proved anything, it's that the drama never takes a day off.